Hello, I am Anggraini Puspitasari. I'm from Group 1. I will explain about key thinkers in cross-cultural communication. Edward, Mildred Hall, and Geert Hofstede are the most well-known leading researchers in the field of cross-cultural communication. They have developed much of theoretical foundation. They key ideas about a clearer understanding of the relationship between culture and communication. This chapter aims to assess their key research and to show how their findings can be applied. First of all, Edward and Mildred took advantages after Second World War when US companies expanded into European common market economy. Halls analyzed the cultural differences between US and European companies and employees. Halls published it on a book. The title is The Silent Language in 1959, and it expanded in Understanding Cultural Differences in 1990. Halls gives two key principles of study of cross-cultural communication. They are related to communication and related to the organization of time. Halls also identified two styles of communication in business. First, high-context communication and low-context communication. Here, I will explain about those so far. In high-context communication, we can see indirect can appear ambiguous, high use of nonverbal communication, comfortable with silence, lower importance of written regulation, lower attention to detail, close personal relationships, importance of oral agreements, an example in Arab, Japanese, and Korea. Low context communication, it is something different about high context and low context. Direct style can appear of abrupt, less use of nonverbal communication, silence causes anxiety, greater reliance on written documents, high attention to detail, personal relationship less important, more than close personal relationships, and oral agreements less important, and it goes on American, German, and Dutch. Next, I have monochronic and polychronic culture. Halls have the organization of time is the second conclusion about different cultures working together. Time in here means the language of time. Monochronic, time seen a linear way, almost tangible and sequential. One thing at the time is concentrate on the task in hand. Time commitments strictly observed, dislike interruption, appointment on time, low context need information, closely follows plan and deadlines, committed to objective and target, emphasize promise to be keep waiting is good, and more accustomed to short-term relationship. Polychronic, the times in asynchronous, several things at time commitments more relaxed, comfortable with interruption, less emphasis on promptness, high context, already has the information, time commitments to be kept if possible, more emphasis on personal relationship, promise based on relationship, and place importance on long-term relationship. High context and low context also have dimensions. The Holmes also considered that cultures may be oriented towards different time dimensions. First of all, past-oriented cultures. These are very much concerned with their past history and their traditions, which they refer and maintain. They show respect for their ancestors, predecessors, and older people. Events are viewed in the context of their tradition and history. France and UK are, to a large extent, example of this type of culture as are India and other Asian cultures. Next, present-orientated cultures. Activities and enjoyment of the moment are considered to be of the greatest importance. There is less emphasis on future planning. Events are viewed in terms of their contemporary impact and the emphasis is on the here and now. Australia is a good example of this type of culture. Last but not least, future-oriented culture. These focus on the future, with much planning and thinking about prospect and potential. They show great interest in youth and future potential. The present and past are used and exploited for future advantage. USA is a good example for future-oriented culture. So, we can conclude this presentation in part 1, key thinkers in cross-cultural communication. The dimension, the time. Polychronic is for high context communication, monochronic for low context communication. In high context communication, the space is shared, and in low context communication, the space is private. How the communication in high, indirect, and in low is direct. The reward in high context communication, group, and low context communication is individual. Emotion in high context communication openly expressed, and low context communication concealed. How about the information? High context communication has the information hidden networks, and in low context communication open systems. The regulation in high context communication are rituals and rights. In low context communication, written codes. The conflicts in high avoid, and in low confront. Status and power in high communication context, position and authoritarian. And in low context communication is qualification and democratic. Thank you for attention my presentation. Hoping you all already understand about my presentation. Yeah, good morning.
Kate Hofstede for Dimensions. Kate Hofstede's seminal research has justifiably had the most influence on the understanding of the effects of culture on human activity. He described cultures as the collective programming of the mind. He maintains the software of the mind distinguishes the member of one group of people from another. Hofstede identifies four key variables, aiming to show those dimensions or variables play a significant role in determining people's behavior, perceptions, and values, as well as their subsequent impact on organizational life. List of Hofstede's four dimensions. The first is PDI, Power Descent Index, attitude towards authority, the extent to which power is autocratic. The second is IDV, or Individualism and Collectivism Index, attitude towards individualism and collectivism. The third is MAS, or Masculinity Index, attitude towards assertiveness and modesty. And the last but not least is UAI, Uncertainty Avoidance Index, attitude towards risk-taking. One point of the list of Kate Hofstede for dimensions is PDI, or Power Descent Index. What's the meaning of PDI? PDI explaining how societies accept and deal with inequalities in power and wealth, and the extent to which the less powerful members of organizations and institutions like the family within a country establish inequality as a normal and desirable. Countries with a high score have high level of difference between levels of power. Hierarchies are tall and respect should be shown to those above are entitled to receive privileges. Countries with a low score make much less of the difference between power levels and believe that the way to change social system is primarily by redistributing power by evolution. In management is used to assess the degree to which management is centralized and hierarchy is imposed in a country's management culture. Hofstede's further research in these dimensions analyzes power distance differences by looking at the effect of social class, education, and occupation. The second point of the list of Geert Hofstede 4 dimensions is individualism or collectivism, or IDV. What's the meaning of IDV? IDV represents bipolar scale. Describe the relationship whereby an individual is integrated with other members of society. At the top end of the scale, individual self-interest predominates and personal time is important. At the bottom end of the scale, people are born into strong. In management terms, the individualism versus collectivism scale illuminates how decisions making takes place and how employees see themselves in relations to their company. Hofstede widens his research in these dimensions by considering the effect of individualism or collectivism within families and the influence of language, personality, behavior, and differences at school and in the workplace.
Masculinity and Femininity Index. This dimension examines gender roles in a society and concentrates on sociological aspect rather than biological aspect. This is the comparison between masculinity and femininity. As we can see in the masculinity side, on the masculinity end of the scale, the dominant values in a society are success, ambition, money, recognition of achievement, decisiveness, and performance. The male is expected to take the dominant role. In a masculine society, roles are more rigidly divided. As we can see at the feminine side, the feminine end of the scale, the dominant values are nurturing and caring, the importance of relationship, the concern for the quality of life, job satisfaction, and support for the disadvantaged and the weak in society. In a feminine society, men and women are expected to take the same social role. This is the example of scores in masculinity index. As you can see, Japan has the highest score in masculinity index and Sweden has the less score in masculinity index. Uncertainty Avoidance Index, or UAI. The term uncertainty avoidance describes the degree to which people feel threatened by ambiguity, unstructured, or unpredictable situation, and the extent to which society is able to tolerate uncertainty. A society with high uncertainty avoidance is more risk averse and will adopt belief and creates institutions to avoid uncertainty. A high uncertainty avoidance country will be more cautious in its decision making, more risk averse, and more likely to adopt solutions that have been successful elsewhere. A society with low uncertainty avoidance is more prepared to accept uncertain, unusual, and innovative idea and behavior, to take conscious risks, and to take each day as it comes. A low uncertainty avoidance country will be more likely to take risks, to seek radical alternatives, and to accept a greater degree of uncertainty in its decision making. And we can see in this slide, these are the scores of UAI. Greece is the highest and Sweden is the lowest. It's a bit of a mix over here. confusion dynamism values or long-term orientation versus short-term orientation, LTO or STO. Hofstede identified a country with LTO as one which placed more importance on the future and are concerned with setting long-term goals and persistence of perseverance in achieving them. STO, on the other hand, means that people expect fairly rapid feedback from decision, quick profits, frequent job evaluation, and promotion. In this next slide, we can see the difference between LTO and STO. LTO, persistent, perseverance, ordering and respecting relationship-based status. Thrift, saving for investment, having a sense of shame, concern with self-image, pragmatic approach to life, acceptance of change. STO, personal steadiness and stability, protection of one's space, respect for tradition, reciprocity of greeting, gifts, and favors. The values for the LTO are directed more towards the future, especially thrift and perseverance, and are essentially more dynamic. The STO values are directed more towards the past and present and are essentially more static. In this slide, we can see that China has the higher score and Nigeria has the less score.
State 6 dimension, indulgence versus restraint, or IVR. This dimension contends that people in societies that possess a high rate of indulgence are able to freely satisfy their basic needs and aspirations. This dimension is very much concerned with the degree of general well-being and happiness experienced by the people of a nation. This is called subjective well-being, or SWB. Hofstede widens his research in this new dimension by examining the key differences between indulgent and restrained society in the private life of their citizens, their common behavior, their attitudes towards sex, and the influence of politics. Manifestation of culture. Hofstede selects symbol, heroes, rituals, and values as four key manifestations of culture. The first is heroes. This can be from the past or from more recent times and can include war heroes, nation builders, and folk heroes who can be seen as role models for a particular culture. For example, include Churchill, Napoleon, William Tell, Gandhi, and Nelson Mandela. The second is symbols. These are specific to a particular culture and are important only to those who are part of that culture. They are often transitory. For example, national flags, which may change, styles of dress, and jargon in popular speech, although some are more permanent. For example, national anthems, memorials. The third is rituals. These are mainly religious or social. For example, church services, funerals, weddings, style of greeting, and Christmas and Thanksgiving celebration, and are generally collectivist in practice. And the last is values. These comprise the fundamental more of a culture. They are acquired at an early age and are passed down from generation to generation. They become instinctive and are seldom questioned. Examples include what is accepted as beautiful or ugly, evil or good, normal or abnormal behavior, and polite or impolite. Change in values in any society or culture happen only very slowly and with difficulty. How is Hofstede's research viewed today? Over 40 years after his original research was conducted, Hofstede's four-dimension remained the basic tool used in assessing national cultures and management style. The main reason for this is that his initial research constitutes the most comprehensive analysis of cultural differences between nationalities conducted in the field using standardized questionnaires, and in addition, that it is validated according to scientific psychological, and statistical principles. This can be divided into 6 areas. The first is analysis needs further updating. The second is too general. The third is too Western oriented. The fourth is political orientation. The fifth is too few dimension, and the last is methodology. Thank you.